Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about Tyson Fury and what he's got from the Deontay Wilder fight. And so it's not a review in terms of the action and that sort of stuff, that's well past it now. But rather this is looking at what he's taken from it in terms of his reputation, the credit involved, and what it means in terms of his legacy. Because he's done a lot of good for his own cause here. He's rewritten and rehabilitated his image immensely from this fight. And I don't just mean from the drink and drugs and that sort of stuff, but in general, he's got a level of adoration from the public at large that he's never had before. He never had this sort of respect, this sort of love from the public after beating Vladimir Klitschko. At the time, that was surely acknowledged as quite a feat, but there was also a bit of an asterisk from many fans who said, yeah, it was a horrible fight, it was boring. You got the win, but it was one of the worst heavyweight fights we'd ever seen. I mean, I'm sure even if you're a Tyson Fury fan, an avid Tyson Fury fan, you had heard that rhetoric. And sure, the win, it was a great win, it dethroned a champion. And I think that win looks better in time now because obviously Klitschko came back and put up a hell of a showing against Anthony Joshua. But Tyson Fury was still the man that did dethrone the king of the division who reigned for almost a decade. But after that, he didn't get the love, he didn't get the sort of support that he may have thought that he was entitled to for pulling off such an achievement. And he's spoken about that before. It didn't go the way that he thought it might. But we also have to remember that Tyson Fury is Tyson Fury, a very controversial character. He says things that a lot of people don't like, that it grates people, it rubs people the wrong way. He's never shy of offering his opinion. And in the wake of that fight, there were a number of things that came out over a period of months of time, even before that fight. Some people weren't willing to give Tyson Fury his due because they didn't like him because of some of what had happened in his life and some of the statements he'd made. But obviously, subsequent to that Klitschko fight, didn't get the credit he wanted. He spiraled, he drank drugs, a bender for a while, whatnot, 18, 20 beers a night. We've heard the stories now, and it was a big part of this comeback story. I remember 1 year ago, maybe slightly over, when I started to do, it might have even been more than a year ago, but I started to do some videos about Tyson Fury, the potential for him to come back, on the basis of some of the statements that he'd made. He actually had kind of made his retirement, different announcements around what was happening a number of times. So obviously fans were starting to doubt what was actually going to happen with Tyson Fury. But it was about this time last year, the comeback started to feel real, that he was talking about coming back and maybe David Price would be an opponent. And about that time when I started doing more videos about Tyson Fury coming back, I actually started to get quite a few messages which I had to delete and sort of block the people because it was outright diabolical stuff that people were saying either about Fury or me doing videos about Fury. There were a number of people who said because I was doing Tyson Fury videos that they were unsubscribing from my channel. And these were basic sort of videos canvassing the news of the day, that Fury had said this, he was looking at fighting David Price, or it was bits and pieces that were coming out of his recovery. You might remember November last year, there seemed to be quite a few different bits and pieces coming out on Tyson Fury's social media, Ben Davison working with him, on the noodles and that sort of stuff. He actually he was in that process of losing some weight. I think it was June last year when it started. You could visibly see by November last year, he was starting to look better than he had. And obviously he continued it right through up until this fight with Deontay Wilder. But it's just interesting for me to look at where he's come from in terms of the public perception, the perception online about where he's seen today after the Deontay Wilder fight. Because clearly, prior to the Wilder fight, when he fought Pianeta and when he fought Sefer Seferi, there were a lot of people that were glad to see him back. But the general consensus was, he needs time. He needs 3, 4, 5 warm-up fights. He'll be ready for a big fight after that. He took a gamble. He jumped feet first into a Deontay Wilder fight. And myself, I thought, this is really a ballsy move. I'm not sure if he's ready. I said at the time, I thought, maybe June next year, that would potentially, with his comeback, the arc he was on, that looked like he could be back to full peak if he could ever get back to full peak. But clearly, we've just seen what happened. He put on a very good display against Deontay Wilder. I don't know if he was completely back to where he was back in 2015, and maybe he never will. But he showed that he's still got enough to be an elite boxer in the heavyweight division. The movement, the skill, it's pretty much unparalleled, especially because he's just that big. There is no one else that tall that is doing what he's doing. But since the fight, there seems to be this wave of support, this wave of love for Tyson Fury. And it's not just in the United Kingdom, it seems to be the world over. You don't have to search too far to see the headlines that have gone around the world about that fight. Some of it, obviously related to Deontay Wilder as well, but a lot of the coverage for this fight, and this was even before the fight and obviously since the fight, has focused on Fury, his recovery, and how close he came to taking the WBC world title. And many people believe he is the WBC champion in name now, but he just doesn't have the belt. And in some of the coverage that has been out there, Fury is being described as a hero, that he is the best in the world, the number one heavyweight in the world at the moment. Over to you in terms of how you rank the division, whether you believe Fury is number one right now. But it's really interesting to sort of see how far we've come. Fury now, he is getting unparalleled attention, stuff that he's never had before. Clearly, he's always wanted this. I mean, there was a bit of a narrative, until recently, that Fury was jealous of the attention that Anthony Joshua got because he wasn't getting the love and adoration and support that someone like Joshua, who had wooed the UK fans, through his fights, his knockouts, through the achievements, London Gold, all that sort of stuff, becoming IBF champion. Whereas Fury, he went to Germany, dethroned Klitschko, and never quite found the same heights of popularity. But we're seeing that now. Fury is on this crest of a wave of support. And I'm sure this is going to be something that he will revel in. Because Tyson Fury is another guy like Deontay Wilder. He loves to be loved. He loves his fans, and he loves hearing that they love him back. And it's really interesting to me how there's been this perceptible shift in terms of what I'm seeing in terms of, because I'm not from the UK, but my comment sections, a lot of commenters from the UK. There is now, among commenters who openly say, I'm from the UK and where Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua is the fight they would like to see. And, drop your thoughts on this. There seems to be this real push now because of what Fury has done, that is the fight UK people, UK-based people would rather see over Deontay Wilder. In some respects, Deontay Wilder's stock, I'm not going to say it's dropped, but it certainly didn't go anywhere from that fight. He showed he was limited, Fury made him look silly at times, but he showed he's still got that power and he's a danger to any heavyweight in the world, bar none. And he was able to catch up with Tyson Fury twice in that fight. Fury, however he got up, and he saw out that fight, and many people believe that he won, including myself. But there's been a shift to Joshua Fury is what a lot of people are telling me that they would like to see over a Wilder and Fury fight. I still want to see any of the fights because I believe they're both very good fights. And there is this sort of, it's great for the sport that Tyson Fury did put on such a show, that he came back so strong, that he fought so well in that fight, because there really is, a triple threat in the division now. Who is the best? We're not going to know until these guys fight each other. And certainly, you can argue one over the other because of different factors. And we've just seen a draw play out, a controversial draw. Anthony Joshua needs to fight Deontay Wilder. He needs to fight Tyson Fury. And we need to see these fights in the next 12 to 18 months, because this is an opportunity where they can make these fights, and the money is going to be crazy, silly money. So there is obviously incentive for them to make it. And I think from a legacy standpoint, these are the fights that if they don't take them, it's going to be their Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis moment, that fight didn't get made and it gets remembered forever. But because the money is there, and I think because the money is there, the will be there. Eventually they could and should and will get made. But in terms of, Wilder and Joshua, I've been thinking about this in recent days. It's a fight I've really wanted to see. It was the number one fight that I wanted to see next for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, sort of regardless of what the result was going to be with Fury. But since the result, I actually want to see the Fury and Wilder rematch immediately. But in terms of my thoughts on Wilder Joshua, it doesn't seem nearly as appealing for some reason, even though I still really want to see it. It kind of, because there's other options there, potential, Fury and Joshua and potential Fury and Wilder rematch. Wilder Joshua, if it went on the back burner because of whatever reason, because of a rematch or whatever, I don't think I would be nearly as cut up about it. If, for example, Wilder had got a decisive victory and Fury got blasted out in a couple of rounds, I would have been like all in on wanting to see Joshua and Wilder. But because of the composition and shape of that fight and what happened, I'm just, I still really, really want to see it. It's one of the fights that the division has to have. It's maybe not at the top, or I'm not feeling as, I really want to see that fight, desperately as I did, if that makes sense. And I think some people would say, well, that's because Wilder's stock has dropped. And I'm still on the fence about that because I'm not necessarily sure it dropped. I'm just not sure it went anywhere. It was always going to be a little bit lose-lose for Wilder, and I covered this in, preview videos. It was all upside for Tyson Fury. We didn't know what we were getting. And he came in, he did the job, and he outboxed Wilder for a majority of the fight, in my view. I think he did enough to win in spite of the 2 knockdowns. Remember, it's a point system. I keep saying, he got knocked down twice, so that's enough for Wilder to keep the belt. And it's like, well, boxing doesn't work that way. And I know if you change a couple of rounds around, you can kind of get to a draw because of the 2 knockdowns. Andre Ward made a good point about that. I still think Fury win, but I'm not as mad about the draw now as I was. I'm still mad at that one judge, 115, 111. That guy needs to be run out of the sport. But in terms of getting back to Tyson Fury, he really is riding the crest of a wave. And I'm sure something like this, because it has been so well received, he's gotten the support that he's never had. I just hope that this can keep him motivated, because that's one of the things that I fear for Tyson Fury. If he can't get a big fight next, say Joshua and Wilder is made, and that's possible, then what does he do next? Can he stay motivated? He said he wants to have a break and recalculate over Christmas. But that recalculation, if there's no big fight for him early next year to look to, have as a goal, which he said is important for him, is he just going to just ebb off where he's come from and slip back into some old ways? Let's hope not. But Tyson Fury, it's really interesting the way that he's been talked about now. And, it's a lot more Tyson Fury fans out there openly talking about Tyson Fury. But that'll happen, Boxing, a very fickle sport, Fans will be your best friend today and they'll walk away tomorrow. It's just part of the sport. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.